Tim, thank you very much indeed. As you say, we're not wasting any time this evening. Straight on into the game. FaZe Clan versus Black Dragons. My Portuguese isn't great, but I reckon we're on cafe.
What gave you that idea?
I mean, it says cafe.
It is
the clues are everywhere.
the same. Yeah, well, it's pretty good. That's better than your guess at what Mansion was yesterday. So
Really a little bit, that one, didn't it?
yeah. You're
We'll
close. You're getting
We'll get
there. Either way, as you say, the game has commenced. We've just had our operator bands go through. There's Maverick, Thatcher, Wamai, and Valkyrie. All of them, I would say, they're all kind of standard for this map. Nothing really standing out to me.
All looks fairly par for the course at this point. Good solid bands here on Cafe. Obviously, Wamai, very popular on this map, and you don't really have to look much further at a Maverick ban. It's very par for the course anywhere that we go in this day and age of Siege. Of course, FaZe, they are going to be starting off on the defense, taking us downstairs to that middle floor first off, getting reading room out of the way.
This site has become a lot more popular as time has gone on as well, especially as that top floor has become less and less popular. And for a lot of teams, it's simply because they know what to do with it. And you see that in a lot of maps. The rotation and the preference for primary sites does change over time. And that is why we have seen this reading site come in as a primary site a lot more. Now, it still typically involves a top floor attack from the attackers, and you will find defenders that are placed up there because control over cocktail especially super important. Seeing that air jab be placed down as well because they know that FaZe Clan could get aggressive and there is the potential for a jump out or a run out that would bring down an early kill for one of the members of Black Dragons, but they are all on the roof as it stands, so at least they've made it up there safely.
Yeah, even with the Valkyrie ban, the Nomad becomes a must pick, right? Because you're just so terrified of all of the run out possibilities that we can see time and time again on this map. A lot of pressure fairly early on. We're only 50 seconds into the action, and already Bullet will be feeling the pinch. He's got himself onto Pixel's spot. He's got the Goyo shield and a couple of ADSs, so always a little bit more of a risky one, as when that Goyo goes, you are going to get engulfed in some flames. And, well, nice little crossfire coming through from Black Dragons, really looking to work on Bullet there and make him feel the pressure early.
Two of those players who we spoke about as well, Ion adding on to the kills too. You mentioned how Live and Ion were players to look out for, as well as Yuna. Those are those ex-FaZe players who are really getting revenge on, well, the guys who are meant to be the fraggers for FaZe Clan. So a lot of that aggression that would be facilitated by them, not going to be quite as easy anymore.
No, Cyber and Bullet losing the life early on. It harks back to yesterday and what we saw on Chalet as FaZe are finally finding some sort of a response. We've got Souls shutting down Ion all the way from Cocktail Balcony. Got the Alder and looking to make it work. He goes for a second peek and Uni just gets caught very short. Absolute no man's land there. And as if by magic, the sides have been leveled.
Soul showed the hell up yesterday as well, so I absolutely would expect him to do the same thing today. And getting those 2 kills with the Alder definitely helps that, because it means that that pressure that the attackers can pass on to the top floor no longer quite as prominent as it was before. Live wants to clear him out, though. He wants to take that control, but Souls is no longer there. That does, however, mean he can open up the hatch and potentially the floor too to be applying the pressure down onto the site below.
So just going to be holding the angle there on the white rappel. I think he's probably aware that someone's playing a little bit lower and maybe just looking to cut him off for the entirety of the round, as there is only 20 seconds left remaining. That someone is going to be Cameraman, who looks to maybe want to challenge on. He knows he's going to struggle to make that rotate if he has to. Comes in the swing on the rappel, and the shotgun is going to deal some damage, but largely misses. The second shot rings true as Astro grabs one elsewhere. The diffuser now cold, Live, 4 seconds and a lot to do. Goes for an ambitious hatch drop, but Astro is waiting underneath. With the diffuser cold in that sort of situation, it's always going to be very tricky. Despite a promising start from Black Dragons, FaZe are going to take round number 1.
I have to say, I feel like Souls was the MVP of that round, because had he not successfully gotten those 2 kills in Cigar, I think Black Dragons would have had so much more space and power to work with that would have allowed them to kind of brute force their way down a bit more. They would have had the support upstairs going down through the vertical angles that they would have had available to them. They would have had more control over the white stairs as well, and maybe Cameraman wouldn't have been able to punish that player who came in through white window if there had been more players available to Black Dragons in the first place. So I think that was a really key part of that last round to kind of flip the switch after Cyber and Bullet went down.
Into round number 2. Seems as though FaZe are going to take us downstairs, really avoiding that top floor as you suggest, Gio. Fancy a little bit of kitchen action. Tools are there for Black Dragons to try and get something open. Of course, with the Thatcher ban, it makes things a little bit more difficult, but there are still ways and there are still means. Plenty of grenades on the side of Live. Maybe you would like to see the grenades stacked up a little bit more, but the Nomad is just such an essential pick that you just can't afford, really, to choose anybody else, especially now that FaZe have got a little bit of confidence under the belt. I'm sure we're going to see a slightly different start, or I'm sure FaZe are at least expecting and hoping for a slightly different start than losing the first 2 opening kills and then having to fight their way back.
Well, having control of those staircases is so important on this map, especially when you know that FaZe like to roam. But also, notably, it's probably going to be quite important for Black Dragons to gain control of the fireplace hatch. As you mentioned before, because Thatcher is banned out, opening up the walls that have either been muted or bandited, that's going to be really difficult. But because they're not bringing a Kaid, the opportunity to be able to electrify that hatch, not really gonna be there. So that's probably the easiest point of ingress the Black Dragons have available to them. They've just got to bust through the manpower of FaZe Clan that's upstairs before they can actually do it.
And it's funny, right, because Black Dragons won the roam clear last time, and this time it seems as though the struggling Cyber this time has found himself being a part of the action on the right end of things. Souls picks up a kill for himself as well, and look at this retreat from FaZe. They know at this point that the job has largely been done. They've removed Live, that's removed a lot of soft destruction. It's also more crucially removed the grenades. They've also removed Patoxis, again a lot of soft destruction, and an Ash that can rotate quickly, and obviously the R4C, we all know what that gun is capable of. FaZe have got a couple of kills there, and they've just said, you know what, we're going to get our chips and we are going to dip straight back onto the site, and we're now just going to wait for the remaining half of this round and see what Black Dragons can try and do, because the answer and the reality is probably not loads. They haven't got a lot of tools in terms of opening up these walls, as you say, Gio. They've opted not to bring double hard breach. They could have brought, you know, the Hibana as well. That's something that we do quite often see, and it really could go to hurt them here. This engagement's going to be quite crucial here as Ions looks to try and push on in. Absorb covering him from the other staircase. He's going to find the kill onto Cameraman. Black Dragon's doing a good job at trying to pick people off at the moment, but Bullet steps up to the plate and hits a long-range headshot over onto Ions.
It's really interesting how FaZe Clan, despite retreating back downstairs early, they still didn't necessarily all flock to the site. Having Cameraman present in VIP, and he did die, and then you've also got Bullet in small bait, but he won't be around much longer. The final 30 seconds, and maybe Black Dragons will have an opportunity now, placing the air jabs to prevent them from running out the site. But Hugsword still knows that he's got to watch out for anyone who may be in. He gets swung on, and Astro can finish the round off. FaZe Clan take a second one. Black Dragons still looking for some success.
Bandit shotgun there at close range, just lining them up and sitting them down. FaZe doing a great job of picking up round number 2. As you said, Joe, they got themselves back to site, but then they just got itchy feet and they just decided they needed a little bit more of a roam on that bottom floor. And you know what? It probably wasn't the worst thing in the world. Bullet got a really important kill. And, you know, ultimately they still had players remaining on the site. And as we spoke about all round long, that sheer lack of hard destruction and the option for hard destruction left everyone to basically push through double door. You don't want to push through double door when there's someone with a shotgun waiting on the other side.
And I think one thing also is that with Black Dragons, they look like they're trying to be quite methodical and careful about the way they approach things, which is really nice to see, because this is a region where it's kind of split in half in that sense. Some teams really lean into that idea, other teams don't. That's why we saw Black Dragons have such success yesterday on Villa against Ints. The problem is once they decided to rotate back downstairs and give up what it was that they were trying to do beforehand, it looked like everyone was separating off and didn't entirely know how they wanted to approach it. They knew at that point they still had to find kills off the site, but weren't necessarily in positions where they were giving themselves the upper hand in all of those. That is how Bullet in Small Bake could get those couple of kills that he managed to achieve. So even though Black Dragons are trying to be smart about things, it's almost like when that time pressure or when that original plan doesn't quite work out, the pressure on them means they don't necessarily, doesn't necessarily work out.
Let's see how this roam clear goes in this instance. It's always a little bit more tricky when you're looking to try and roam clear onto that top floor, because that's usually where a large portion of the defenders are going to be playing. Plenty of intel available there as cameraman flicks his way on through the cams, just seeing if there are any early opportunities or not. Some nasty bullet holes there being set up by Bullet as he plays in the bottom of pillars. He has actually got a couple of reinforcements there into Reading as well for him to work with. It really is just a case of gathering this intel on the side of FaZe. Ooh, Cyber so close. Gets so far, goes for a cheeky punch, see if he can bait out a few shots, but you can just tell that he's itching to try and make something happen. Meanwhile, a large portion of Black Dragons are actually going to be on this south rappel and looking to try and maybe bait out a run out and, of course, deal with Bullet, who is going to be playing in Pixel spot again now. This was something that was very swiftly dealt with in round number 1, and already we're seeing it take a lot more time and a lot more resource to try and make that happen, and Astro comes in with the C4 over onto Live. Now, Live was actually the player that got the kill over onto Bullet last time, and I'm wondering if he died over on that west rappel, because if he did, that's great adaptation on the side of FaZe.
At the very least, it's a really good opening kill from FaZe, and Astro's going to be playing it patient on this bullet hole, seeming to be something that a lot of the players are liking, but you can see Spray coming around. Bullet takes a little bit of damage too. Astro is still just waiting for one person, maybe two, to walk out. I think he just narrowly caught a pixel of one of them. He's getting peeked, but he's still playing it. Perfect kill though, and that was the diffuser too. The patience paid off. The Black Dragons have made their breach. They're going to have to deal with the shield inside of Washroom and ensure that Freezer is cleared out, but they should have some space to push forward.
Black Dragon's really not looking too great here. They've got quite a large man deficit to get over, and these players from the side of FaZe, they don't need to move all too much. There is only 35 seconds left, and the Goyos are going to do quite a bit to eat up some of that time. As I say that, Astro takes a load of damage from one of his own Vulcan shields, as that does get exploded at the top of White Stairs. Black Dragon's really heavily pressuring this Washroom and Freezer area, looking to try and make something happen. Bullet still playing at the bottom of these White Stairs. He could push up at any time and be a massive threat, as kills do trade in either direction, but FaZe Clan had more men and more bullets and a little bit better accuracy when it came down to it.
Again, it just seemed that even though Black Dragons managed to get the control of that middle part of the map that they needed, the push forward from that, they didn't have enough time for, because there was still control from FaZe Clan at Pallets, because there was still control at White Stairs. When you try to move forward, that has to still be taking control. Couldn't do that. But really quickly before we head into the next round, we can have a look at the map veto, which we missed at the beginning, and just see how we got all the way here to Cafe Dostoyevsky. So
I'm quite interested to see how we got here, because at the moment, FaZe Clan seemingly running away with it. It seemed as though it was actually a Black Dragon's decision to go here, as they had the last ban over on Oregon.
Yeah.
FaZe there removing Consulate, Villa, and Coastline, so maybe some of the more aggressive maps, as Black Dragons are in form at the moment, so that does make a little bit of sense. We did see a huge shift, and especially some high ratings that we mentioned as well earlier on the side of Black Dragons, and high ratings usually means decent kill involvement and decent cost, all those sort of good things that come along with it. So they seem to be making it work so far here on Cafe, but Cafe can be a little bit more defender-sided. We've spoken already about the lack of the Thatcher and what that can really do to a team. And I think that Black Dragons maybe just feeling the pinch of that, particularly when they're looking toward that bakery site.
It's entirely unsurprising to me as well that FaZe Clan would prefer to come to a more strategic map. They got 2 wins on Clubhouse back in week 1. That's obviously known as a more strategic map. Didn't do so great on Chalet yesterday. They did get a win, but it was an 8-7. And knowing that this entire roster has come in together as the XMIBR roster, and then you've got Astro, who was previously on FaZe Clan, it's just the kind of situation where you would expect that more strategic style to work out for you. And it is working out for them so far here in Cafe. Still sat at 3-0. Black Dragons yet to find any success on rounds. And as they head into this next attack, so far not lost any men. The question is, how long will it take for them to do that? And are they going to force FaZe Clan to lose some of their own before that point is met?
Oh, and that's why you bring the old Nomad. Cameraman goes for a little bit of a leg stretch. SMG11 in hand and says, you know what? I fancy you live. I'm going to take you out of the game. Nades now out of the picture as well. Makes Pixel Spot difficult to deal with. But it looks as though Black Dragons haven't done too bad a job. As Patoxy, he's going to push all the way on through and manage to take down Bullet, leveling things out for the time being. But you've got to ask yourself, your sledge, that sledgehammer, all that soft destruction when you're attacking onto Reading, that's a real big blow. And to add further insult to the injury, Una has now been taken down. The only hard breach available on the side of BD.
Now, I'm sorry, but Cyber has been looking pretty good so far, especially compared back to round 1, where we saw him and Bullet be the first to go down. He's obviously being placed on the smoke rather than any kind of fragging role necessarily. He's definitely been showing up. Just a little bit of damage for Black Dragons to try and make their way through this top floor. Patoxy is so low on health as well. And the drones are at a serious dearth. Just one from Ion is out in the field, and according to there are 3 more placed around, but Ion isn't gonna be in the game anymore. Souls once again taking that swing, and FaZe Clan just retains such control.
Battle we saw in the previous round as well, round number 2, where we saw this, round number 1 when we saw this site. Cameraman winning that engagement again over onto Hugzord. Black Dragons just being very easily predicted at the moment from FaZe, and well, a 1 health Ash isn't going to last all too long against nearly the full might and power that is this FaZe Clan roster. Astro, he's going to pick that last kill up. And FaZe continue their flawless streak here on Cafe.
I think we're not yet, of course, but I'm very interested to see how it'll change when Black Dragons are over on the defense, because that was where we really saw a lot of their talent, skill showing up on Villa yesterday. Now, it's never good enough to just say, oh, well, this team is good on one side and not on the other, because that's just a problem you have to fix. But I'm wondering if that's where we'll see Iron and Live particularly really shine. And I think one of the things we have to remember too is that FaZe Clan still have Astro. Astro is the ex-teammate of Iron, Live, and Una, and he's going to have a ton of information about the way that those guys like to play. So while Black Dragons are relying upon them to be going in and making these plays, they're just being shut down. I mean, look at this. Live and Una both on 1 and 4. Iron at 2 and 4. None of them are positive. They are just being completely smothered before they have the chance to do anything.
Yeah, the ratings are certainly going to take a hit after this game if it continues in this fashion. I've also really got to draw a bit of attention toward the operator lineup that Black Dragons are choosing to bring now. The Jackal is the adaptation here instead of the Zephyr. I've just got to add a little bit of a question mark to that, because it really is that they're struggling to get anything open hard breach-wise. Now, if that's the case, I'd really like to see them double down on that and to bring another option. In this case, the option would be a Hibana. Alternatively, we haven't seen a lot of value or use out of the grenades. Live's often found himself first-blooded. I think he's been taken out of the 5 rounds we've seen. I think he's been first-blood once or twice. So those nades really aren't coming to fruition as much as we would like to see. And these are all little small things that we saw Black Dragons making good use of yesterday, and today they just seem to be chasing the tail a little bit.
And FaZe Clan have actually reduced the amount of breach denial that they've brought this time, because they have brought the Kaid, which they didn't before, but before they did bring both a mute and a bandit. So it's almost like they understand the fact that Black Dragons aren't even necessarily going for these breaches to the level or the extent that they perhaps should be. And whether that will change things for this round and that Black Dragons will read into that and be able to exploit it, that's something else that remains to be seen, but it's clearly something that FaZe Clan feel quite comfortable with.
Last time we saw this site, we saw FaZe get a couple of early kills out on the roam and then choose to dip back into the site. This time, they've gone with a slightly different approach. As you say, they brought the Kaid, and they're now looking to just try and play this site and really make Black Dragons come and push them. And I think, once again, it just shows that depth to the strat book from FaZe, in that they really have got multiple options and multiple ideas every site here on Cafe, which is as you would expect, but it's good to see that peace of mind of them being very willing to show that, because they can now lean into those C4s a little bit more heavily. There are 2 on the table for them to use. Live makes his presence well and truly known inside of this train room alongside the Toxis, who does in fact deal him a little bit of damage there. I think we're going to see a nade toss come in here, but you can all tell that isn't going to hit anything, maybe just to remove a little bit of utility. But there is some Z-ping information. Looks like there's a couple of Malusis. This is really framing up for a bit of a hatch drop in the final few seconds, although as I say that, we do see players shifting attention ever so slightly. Cameraman on the reverse, SMG-11 in hand. It's a little teabag as well for good measure. He once again finds that opener with that gun onto Live.
Not very friendly, and what that does mean is that because Live actually opted to not clear out that Malusi Banshee, it's still there, and immediately Iron gets caught in it and caught by Astro. A trade, so that does mean there is some back and forwards, and it puts it in a 4 versus 2 for FaZe Clan. But look at this, Black Dragons are just getting cleared up. It's just Patoxy, and we haven't really seen him show up. FaZe Clan were ready for everything the Black Dragons tried to do there, and the panic ensued, and so does the scoreline.
As we enter round number 6, FaZe have a dominating lead here on Cafe. I will preface that by saying one thing. Cafe is a map where we can see multiple rounds chained together by the defenders. Reverse sweeps aren't uncommon here, but with the way that we've seen these two teams play in, it really does seem as though FaZe are in the driver's seat. They have all of the momentum inside of this fixture at the moment. And we can see that demonstrated in just how they are commanding the entire game. They are setting the pace and really making Black Dragons work for every single inch.
It's been incredibly clean from FaZe Clan so far. And what I will say is I don't think it's even necessarily that they've had just such a untouchable, perfect defense. I think a lot of it is that Black Dragons have given them opportunities, which is something that they don't have much time left to try and rectify. FaZe Clan coming back up to the top floor. There's no point in me looking back at my notes to try and figure out if they won it last, because, yeah, quite clearly they did. Black Dragons last time they attacked onto this site took them a little bit of time to break into that middle portion. What I actually find interesting about the way that FaZe Clan are choosing to defend this site is they are still opting to bring a shield to hold the pixel angle. Now, in EU particularly, that's something that's fallen somewhat out of fashion, and you're not really seeing shields particularly be invested into that part of the map. But what it means is the Black Dragons have to invest so much utility and time into getting control of Piano in the first place and getting that clear, and that alone is enough to make it hard for them to push down the white corridor and take any control near white stairs, which was their downfall last time.
Really like that early nade there from Live just to remove the Goyo shield at the top of those white stairs. It was a tiny bit of a sticking point in the previous round, and to get that out of the way nice and early, it also removes a lot of Bullet's feeling of safety playing on that pixel spot, because you are going to expect to be peeked a little bit from that white window. It just restricts your movement ever so slightly. Live has now got himself onto that east rappel, and in fact he's going to find himself a nice kill as a swing comes in from Ion, but he gets cut down in the crossfire. 2 quick kills coming in for FaZe, make that a third, as all of a sudden it's a 4 versus 2. Bugzord there just gets himself caught very short. Looks like a bit of a combination between Toxic Babe and MP5. And all of a sudden, with over half of the round remaining, it's poor old Live out on this East Rappel. He's got a lot of work to do, essentially an ace clutch to try and make this happen. It was only a matter of time until that happened, AGO. Cameraman flying out the window, SMG11 in hand, and his teammates are joining him.
Yeah, that was quite obvious, I think, to most that was going to happen. I understand why they did try to go in for the heaven take and maybe aggressively try to push into Cocktail and clear out the players that were in there, but the fact that they didn't consider the fact that there was a guy down in Chandelier who could just immediately take them out, at the very least, all that requires is droning to know that he's there. You know, at this point, you don't even have to think about, okay, how do we remove him? How do we deal with him? How do we clear him out? You just need to know that he is there to know that it's a bad idea to jump in through heaven. And that wasn't something that Black Dragons took into account. And immediately, it cost them such valuable life. And they're very split apart. They're very splintered at that point. Little you can do. It felt like a panic.
Well, this is time, Black Dragons. You're now on the defense. So far, it is the favoured side here on Cafe this evening. Let's see what you are able to do with it. You've got a long uphill and arduous struggle, and there isn't much room to make any sort of mistake. FaZe have got multiple opportunities here at trying to convert this into a map win. Okabe and Twitch being brought as new additions. We saw a little bit of Capital, I think, in the previous round from Black Dragons, but it didn't really amount to anything. As we saw, it was over in the blink of an eye. So I'm really looking now toward Black Dragons because they have to do something here, Gio. They've got no more option. They've come off the back of 3 very impressive games so far, and to go out in this fashion, I think it would really knock the wind out of the sails.
Ooh, this is a very early engagement. Cyber can't finish it off, but he's going to be droned up the stairs to maybe chase his prey. There's another player at the top of white stairs and some vertical holes being held. What I wanted to say was I'm very curious by the decision to reinforce off washroom, because it means that there won't be that rotate between the 2 rooms so that the player on Pixel can easily make it back into Freezer. It does mean that that white corridor is quite a dangerous place if that control of Pixel is taken or any of the windows. You could find a player going down there, especially if Freezer is taken too or successfully breached by FaZe Clan. They too have only brought 1 hard breacher as well, so you do run that same risk, but you can hear that breach be made upstairs, likely onto the top red wall. And that is actually why these players are rappelling up, so that they can get on those piano windows nice and early.
The time in the mid-round now for FaZe to gather some info. Cyber there just going to lose his Twitch drone, but I don't think he's going to be too concerned as he's gained a little bit of intel as to where that Ion is, sorry, that Malusi and Ion is playing. Astro looking to get himself established now as well as Cameraman all the way downtown. He's got his asphyxiating crossbow ready to rock and roll. It looks as though he's maybe waiting for a call, perhaps? Is he looking to try and do some sort of fancy smoke work from all that way?
It's gonna be kicked for being AFK.
I mean, I think that maybe was the overarching feel, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. There is some fire there, so either a Goyo shield or the asphyxiating bolt, one of the two. I imagine a shield at this point because it's a little bit of a strange place to use one of the bolts.
He's also in the wrong place for it as well, but you can hear the Dokkaebi call be put out. Patoxy is finally going to get that first kill, and crucially onto Astra as well. But a lot of those key breaches have already been made, so it might not be a big problem. Ion just looking out for the player on the rappel, while Live trying to catch a Pixel angle, throwing out the Toxic Babe canister to deter any push in from Cigar or New Balk. Ion taking a ton of damage. He knows there's a player downstairs. He throws out the C4, but it doesn't catch anyone, and Cameraman will be the next one to fall. Souls as well, so this might actually be time for Black Dragons to put a round on the board. Bullet, the next one to go down, and it's all on Cyber. He's trying to move up the stairs. He gets 1 kill. But can he find the rest? He's got 3 players to find. He manages to dodge the C4, but taking some damage from the Toxic Babe. Pushing straight in, but shot in the back by the shotgun. He didn't survive out, and Black Dragons put a round on the board. And
so it begins, the comeback from Black Dragons. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and the journey of a reverse sweep starts with just one round. They maybe, just maybe, still have it within them. They're going to take us down to Kitchen. By all accounts, it was a good round from Black Dragons. They got some really important kills there. And I think you do get the impression that FaZe maybe just took their foot off the gas a little bit because of the sheer advantage that they had in that moment. There was a couple of players still remaining alive for the side of Black Dragons as well, but there is an argument that that top floor is quite a good site to defend onto. Different tools are being brought here and now. Souls has already picked up onto the Cali, 6 picking off the Dokkaebi. Really good read in terms of where these defenders are going to be going, because they are going to be going down to Kitchen. Now, I'm really expecting this time, Gio, for one of those hard walls to get opened.
I mean, me too, I think. Even if they, you know, don't use the Kali for that, they should be able to just shoot the mute jammers down from above. But that could be made kind of hard for FaZe Clan, given this roaming setup the Black Dragons appear to have brought, especially when you look at the fact there's the Vigil, the Jaeger, and the Melusi. Now, Patoxy's going to be playing on the Vigil, and he hasn't been too impressive as one of those fraggers, to me at least so far. He's sat at 4 and 7 for his KD right now, and my fear is that that job that you rely on the Vigil to complete won't necessarily be done properly, because he might get caught in an opening engagement and not last very long. So that's something really to look out for, because if that roam isn't really strong, I don't think it should be too hard for FaZe Clan to be able to open these walls.
FaZe seems to be going for quite the lateral approach at the moment. Got a nice pre-placed drone there from cameraman. It's giving him all the info that he needs, and maybe Bullet looking to try and work off the back of it as the front door does get blown open. Soul's now looking to deploy his Kali, and maybe a Banshee inside of the doorway that they're looking to get rid of, or perhaps even a mute jammer. The cameraman's able to feed all this information now back to his team, and Warden, by all accounts, is playing fairly safe for now, but just looks very exposed inside of that bar corridor. Bullet going to be holding on to Wedding Door. Maybe has had the call to make that rotation and to go and try and deal with Live on the Warden. But instead, attention still being drawn toward this bakery area. FaZe Clan recognize the importance of getting an opener here, and, well, they're not actually going to be able to manage it as Live picks himself up too. The bait and switch coming out from the Warden was beautiful, and he hops out to just confirm that that was indeed the diffuser down. Now, he's playing a dangerous game, challenging onto a Kali, and he will pay the price, but not before he takes down Cyber.
Bullet, he's going to be adding onto the kill count for FaZe Clan. 2 versus 2. Getting aggressive is Souls with the SPSMG. Yuna will be the next one to fall. Now we're about a minute left. There's actually a decent amount of time, and my fears about Patoxy have been proven wrong, as he's still one of the players standing, using his ERC-7 just to provide some protection for his whereabouts. But this is a really nice drone from Bullet, because it hasn't been spotted. All right, it's been spotted, but it's still given some information. That information will go out of date fairly quickly, but at least they know that there is a player playing on site. That's why Souls and Bullet are going in together. You hear the ADS being burnt out, and they're going to try and swing, but Hugsaw gets a 2K at the end. It didn't matter that they knew where he was. He knew exactly how to deal with it. And that's a beautiful round there from Black Dragons.
Not quite stacking up into the same shot, but as near as, damn it, they are able there to pick up yet another round and start to chain them together. Black Dragons 2 rounds in a row, and, well, it's exactly what they need. They cannot afford to lose any rounds here, and even then, they are going to be looking to take this game all the way into overtime. I'm going to see a bit of a switch up now as we enter the reading room area. It's not a sight that we've seen so far from Black Dragons. They've been quite successful up until this point in the bar and the kitchen. Seen 6 picks on either side. Interesting the cameraman's opting for the gridlock as opposed to the Nomad, which is available. We're going to see Kali swapped out for the other sniper counterpart in Glass. Maybe, just maybe, the clash did work in terms of a little bit of a bait and switch there, as Ion has ended himself up on the mirror, and I imagine they're going to get played on that top floor because control over that cocktail area is just so crucial.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested to see how this attack from FaZe Clan is going to work out, just because of those slightly less orthodox operator picks, and whether Black Dragons are going to be prepared for that. I do like the fact that Black Dragons have lent into this, composition that they have. As you mentioned, the mirror is being brought. That gives them a lot of control. I suspect that one will be placed on that fireplace wall, just facing the white stairs. And I think what they're expecting is for FaZe Clan to take quite swift control of the top floor. Because they've got all of these C4s, that immediately signifies that they want to be playing from below the enemy team. Also, one of them is on a pulse, so you get all that information with the cardiac sensor, and to have the mirror windows placed somewhere that makes moving down those staircases difficult, I think that's what they're expecting. They're expecting this swift top 4 control, and then they want to play off of that. There is one of the mirror windows. You can spot it right there. It's already been shot out. The Live is still going to be playing behind it for now.
I'm going to be playing a nice window there from Lumber, looking all the way through into Piano. As you say, this top floor hold is really just a time sink and a little bit of a utility sink as well. If you can gain a kill whilst you're up here, even better. But you really need to be alive to make good use of that C4. And we've said 3 people carrying the C4s makes it crucial that you get out with the majority of your forces still intact. That pre-placed drone's doing bits downstairs. It's really one that I'm sure Black Dragons will kick themselves about when they watch the VOD back later and see, guys, we need to start checking that lampshade or whatever it is that drone is sitting on, because it is just free intel and it doesn't seem to be getting taken out any of the time. Opener this time going to Cyber. He does manage to take down Eunice, who already seeing one of those C4s drop off, and a large portion of intel. Now, interestingly, Astro going for quite a direct approach there. He's just going to look to try and breach in through from pillars, gets himself embroiled in a bit of a gunfight, and takes away a huge portion of Live's health, as FaZe have turned their attention, and they've decided to go quite site-heavy.
Still waiting for any of these other engagements, as FaZe Clan can really focus on the site. One of the smokes being thrown in from the glass, and Cyber's going to be adding to his kill count with Live going down. Patoxy as well. So this is a great advantage that FaZe Clan have. And remember, they're of course on match point. They're going in for the plant. All they have to get is Iron, but Iron's going to be fighting back. Sending in a C4 on top of the kill he already gets. He's still waiting to set it off though. Another kill with the Vector too. He's got 3 more he has to go for. He knows that there are players over towards Fireplace. C4 doesn't catch anybody. I don't know how much information he has from the rest of his team. He's just trying to be cautious. He knows there could be players upstairs, and there is actually one. Is he going to commit to sneaking up on him? Plan is being made from Astro. This is a really difficult position for Ion to be in. He doesn't know where these players are. He finally gets taken out, and FaZe Clan finish what they started off and take the entire game.
FaZe Clan finishing very strongly there, not chasing after that final kill, focusing on getting the plant down and focusing on that sweet 7-2. So they had a dominating performance here on Cafe. Black Dragons really struggled to get anywhere near this match, whether it be on attack or on defense. They didn't have the best of time of things. Cyber showing up in a big way alongside Astro, cameraman as well, with some flashy